Ever feel like your bass isn't just quite right for that song? It's a common problem, and the solution might not be your playing. It could be new basses. In this video, we're going to tackle the age-old problem of gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS, and showing you why owning multiple basses isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's like having the perfect handbag for every outfit. I'm Twisty. Join me as I answer the age-old question, do I need multiple basses as a musician? Let's have a look. There's really two reasons to have multiple instruments or multiple bass guitars. Well, three, but just because I can doesn't really count, apparently. The first one is as a collector. Just like collecting stamps, paintings, coins, hot rods, and Star Wars memorabilia, collecting bass guitars can be an investment in your portfolio. You could be buying a piece of history with a 57P bass, or picking something iconic like a replica of Sting's P bass, Steve Harris's P bass. Oh, where have I seen one of them before? Gene Simmons' Zach's bass, Paul McCartney's violin bass, or maybe even Flea's Music Man bass. These things as a collector look great hanging around the house and can add value to your wallet as long-term investment. The second or the third reason is because of the sonic or tonal capability that each instrument provides to go with each different song or musical genre that you're playing in. That's the main one we're going to have a look at. Good friend of mine plays trumpet. Trumpeter, trumpetist. And he always gives me a hard time whenever I acquire a new bass or add a new bass to my collection. He always asks, aren't they all the same? He's been playing with the same trumpet for 30 years, so he doesn't really get it. But a trumpet is different. A trumpet's designed to play a specific sound. There's not much deviation from trumpet to trumpet. However, with the bass, you're looking at being able to play multiple genres, multiple tones, and it's much more diverse. It's like talking to a painter and only talking about paintbrushes as opposed to all of the tools in his palette. So this leads us to the big question. Do I really need more than one or two basses? Some people are quite happy with their main bass and a spare for the stage, whereas others revel in the fact that they've got thousands to choose from. Wish I had thousands. Someone talk to my wife, can you? So that wall of bass guitars that you're dreaming of isn't always about the aesthetics of the guitars and the way it looks on the wall. It is about the tone and what the bass will bring to your songs. Each bass you pick up has its own tonal characteristics. It could be the timbre that's being used, the fretboard that's being used, the pickups, the windings on the pickups. You could pick up two Yamaha BB434 basses off the same shelf and they'll sound slightly different. And that could have been because they're on a different manufacturing lot, or there was a different wind in the pickups in one series versus another. If you pick up the same bass but have different strings on it, this Yamaha bass has got rotor sound roundwounds. But if I put flat wounds on it, it'll sound completely different. Same bass, different sound. It is worth noting that some basses, especially vintage basses, will appreciate over time. So that comes back to the value of collecting. So owning multiple basses is not only great for making you a more diverse musician, it also adds to your portfolio and gives you some value to fall back on. There are challenges with owning multiple basses, of course, and it's not just hiding them from your wife so she can't see there's yet another one on the wall. Cost is a big one, but you don't have to fork out for expensive basses if you're looking for tonal adjustment. You know, Yamaha Ibanez made in Mexico Fenders, they're relatively cheap compared to the higher end or the vintage tone. Especially with P basses, you're likely to get the same sound on any P bass style. So bass guitar with a split P, maple neck, older body will give you roughly the same sound. Again, we're discounting the difference in the pickups and the strings. So you don't need to go out and get that $20,000 vintage 57P bass that you've been drooling over. You could just pick up a new Yamaha BB or a made in Mexico P bass and get a similar tone. But if you are looking for some investment, then doing some research and understanding what people are buying or what is valuable in the marketplace, you will be able to search and get some good deals on that, again, to add to your collection. Being a bass player and to extent a guitarist, the advantage of having your collection is being able to actually use the collection as well. So it's a bit of both worlds. I probably wouldn't take the $20,000 57 P bass on the road, but you know, your call, you paid for it. Storage is another challenge. Not only do you have to find somewhere to store these, you know, there's a couple I've got there, but you also have to store the cases they come with, and that takes up more space than the actual guitars themselves. So I've got space for 5 in my studio, and these are the ones that I have that I most likely use, or like these Attitudes where I have a Series 1, a Series 2 and a Series 3, I like to keep them so that people can see I've got a collection of Yamaha Attitude basses, but I probably only use 2 of them. All of the rest of my collection I either have in storage or I bring in and out from another room as I need to use them. So that storage part is a bit of a challenge. So in my opinion, the benefit of having multiple basses outweighs the downside of them. Now, whether you have 100 or whether you have 5 or whether you just have 2, that'll be up to you and your budget and what you're looking for. Again, whether you're collecting or whether you're looking for a range of sounds. I have Yamaha Attitude basses, which give me one type of sound. I've got a Fender P bass, which has flat wound strings on it, which gives me a different sound. I have an MTD Fretless bass with jazz pickups, a different sound again. I don't have a Music Man though, so if anyone wants to throw one out, happy to take it off your hands. Okay, I'm just going to run through a couple of different sounds so you get the idea of why you need multiple basses. Now for this experiment, I'm going to be using my Line 6 LT, and I'm going to be using the same setup. It's a flat amp. I've got an Apogee SVT4 Pro. I'm running it through an 4x10 cabinet, and I've got a Rochester comp set on at the beginning. So that's pretty well it. It's pretty basic. So the first one I'm going to use is my Attitude Limited 1. I'm only going to use the P pickup, and this is going to represent a P pickup with round wound strings on it, rotor sound round wounds. So let's see how that goes. So that's that P bass, that nice punchy. And the bright strings with it. Now, switch over to the Steve Harris P bass. Again, I'm using a split P pickup and same amp, same settings. So still responsive with the harmonics, but it's a flatter sound. That's why they're using flat wound strings, but it's a flatter sound. So there you go, that's the flat wound. So let's have a look at a fretless. Okay, this one is an MTD or Michael Tobias. It is not only a fretless, but it's also got jazz pickups in it. So I've got it set to volume on both of them, and I've got the tone set just off like I normally have. And so this is going to give you not only that going to give you that pop of the jazz style pickups, which is significantly different to what we're hearing in both models of the P-Bass. But still harmonics, still that, and that's that, I call it the rubber band sound, but if I just roll off the front pickup a bit. So you can see I haven't played with this for a while, so my accuracy is a little bit out. But that's the difference in that sound. So again, the jazz pickups give that different tone, and also the fretless gives you the ability to do that sort of slidey sound. And then finally, let's check out this Yamaha BEX semi-acoustic or hollow bodied bass. Now this has got active and passive, so active, passive. I'm just going to run in the passive mode and got both pickups turned up. We'll see how that sounds. So I need to fix that plug. This again is running Roundwounds, Rotosound Roundwounds, so bright sound. If I turn the volume of the back pickup, turn the one for the back off. So that's the back on. Off. And again, both back on. As you can see, each one of the ones we've just gone through has a completely different tone to it, completely different setup, and could be used all in the same song, but some of them will make a significant difference. But especially when you're looking between the jazz pickups versus the P pickups, the flat wounds versus the round wounds, the active versus the passive, and that fretless that has a unique sound to it. Thinking about my collection, some of them are because they're tonal, some of them because they're cool, and some of them, like my Gene Simmons Axe bass, were just because I could. So do you really need multiple basses? Well, you know, it depends on your musical goals, what you're trying to achieve, and your budget. But if you're serious about exploring multiple tones or working as an active musician, especially studio musicians, then you need to have at least probably 3. Some sort of Music Man or jazz bass, a P bass with flats and a P bass with rounds. That's probably the 4 that I'd be looking at to have in your minimum collection. Like I said, I don't have the Music Man yet, but it's probably coming soon. For some, it could be more than that. It could be collecting famous bass players' instruments. It could be having a series of every year Fender made a P bass. If you look at Geddy Lee, I don't know what the number he's up to, but he's got hundreds. He went and bought a year model for every Fender bass that he had. I can't afford that, but somebody can. Think about it. You wouldn't wear hiking boots to a wedding, would you? And you wouldn't wear stilettos to the gym. So similarly, you wouldn't want to use your P bass for every song that you're using. Or you wouldn't want your jazz bass for some Iron Maiden. And you wouldn't be using a fretless bass for rock unless you're Tony Franklin and you're playing in Whitesnake. Having the right bass in your collection is essential. So check out this video to see if that bass fits in yours. Catch ya.